Many of us often reflect on what happens to our loved ones after they pass away. The question of whether they can see us when we visit their graves haunts many souls. For some, the cemetery is a sacred place where they can express their feelings and share their grief. For others, however, visiting this place can be an overwhelming challenge. The doubts about whether it's necessary to visit the cemetery to honor their memory, or if we can maintain a connection with the deceased in other ways, frequently arise among those who have recently lost a loved one. In this video, we'll explore the existence of the soul after physical death and the importance of expressing our love and respect. We'll explain what visiting the cemetery means for us and for our loved ones who have already left this world. Even if you don't feel the strength to visit their grave, that doesn't mean your loved one doesn't feel your love and support. Because the most important thing isn't the place, but the feelings we carry in our hearts and how we express them. When someone leaves this world, their physical body remains on earth, but their soul continues to exist. Many people associate the cemetery with a place where they feel close to the deceased. It's a place where the body rests. However, it's essential to understand that the body is just a vessel that accompanied the soul during its earthly life. The soul transitions to another realm where it continues to exist. It is not limited by the physical world, so it can be with us, regardless of where we are, whether at home, in the cemetery, or anywhere else. When a person dies, their body returns to the earth, and their soul begins its journey to other worlds. This can be compared to taking off an old garment. The body was simply a tool for experiencing earthly life, but the soul moves forward. Many fear that by not visiting the grave, they will lose their connection with the deceased. But this is not true. It is important to remember that the soul of a loved one is not bound to the place of their burial. It is free and can be by our side at any moment in our lives, supporting us and sensing our thoughts and emotions. Often, people feel guilty for not being able to visit the cemetery. This might be due to the intense pain of the loss or an internal fear of that place. However, this does not mean that the love for the deceased is any less. The soul of your loved one does not require constant visits to the cemetery to feel your support. It perceives your attention, regardless of where you are. Visiting or not visiting the grave is a personal decision that depends on one's emotional state and individual readiness. The most important thing is that your thoughts and feelings are sincere. For those who find comfort in visiting the cemetery, this can be an important part of the grieving process. People go there to bring flowers, pray, talk to the deceased, or simply be alone with their memories. These rituals help us cope with the loss and feel a sense of closeness to those who have already left. However, these actions are not important to the soul of the deceased. They are for those of us who remain in this world. They help us express our love and attachment through symbolic gestures. In this way, the cemetery doesn't affect the state of the soul of the deceased. The soul exists in a realm where our physical limitations are irrelevant, and what matters most to the soul are the feelings we hold in our hearts. When we lose a loved one, the connection with them does not break. Many believe that by visiting the cemetery, they can feel the presence of their soul in the place where the body rests. People often feel a special atmosphere, as if their loved one is still nearby. This sensation is closely related to the fact that the soul, although no longer bound to the physical world, continues to interact with us energetically. When you visit the cemetery to honor their memory, or simply to be close, the soul of your loved one feels it. But it's essential to remember that the energy of their presence is not limited to the place of their burial. Souls can transcend physical boundaries and continue to be with us, offering love, guidance, and support, no matter where we are. We can feel the presence of our loved ones by our side at any moment in our lives, especially when we remember them, think about them, or speak of them with love. At the cemetery, people often notice strange and moving signs. Suddenly, a butterfly appears, a bird comes closer, or even an animal behaves in an unusual way. These moments can be interpreted as signs, messages sent from the souls of those we've lost, reminding us of their continued closeness. These signs are not accidental. In spiritual practices, it's believed that souls can manifest in nature, using it as a channel to communicate with us. For example, when a butterfly lands nearby, or a bird approaches without fear, many interpret these events as the presence of a deceased loved one. These little miracles help us understand that our loved ones remain a part of our lives, even in their physical absence. The energy of their soul is always near, even if we're not consciously aware of it. Visiting the cemetery can be especially meaningful for those seeking comfort or wishing to maintain a connection with those who have passed. People bring flowers, light candles, and spend time in quiet reflection, recalling the moments shared with their loved ones. All of these actions help us express our emotions and maintain the bond of love between the living and the deceased. However, it's essential to understand that for the souls of our loved ones, flowers and candles are not just physical objects. They are symbols of our love and respect. Through these acts, we transmit our energy, thoughts, and feelings to those who are no longer with us. The energy of the soul is not confined to the cemetery. Our loved ones are always by our side, especially in the moments when we remember them with love and tenderness. The cemetery is not a place to call upon the souls, but rather a space for us to find peace and comfort. It helps us align with the spirit and feel their presence. However, the soul can be with us in any other place, whether at home, at work, or in any space where we feel a connection to the departed loved one. Still, for many, visiting the cemetery remains an important tradition. It's not just a ritual, it's a way to express love and care. When we bring flowers or light candles, we show that we remember and value those who were a part of our lives. But even if you cannot, or choose not to visit the cemetery, that doesn't mean you lose your connection with the deceased. Their energy is not tied to a specific place, and they continue to feel our love and support, no matter where we are. In this way, the cemetery is simply a resting place for the body, but the energy of the soul is always with us. It can manifest in various signs, helping us feel their presence. The most important thing that binds us to those who have passed is the memories we carry and the love we continue to hold in our hearts. Whether or not we visit the cemetery, that connection remains intact. The energy of our loved ones will always be close, supporting and guiding us. For many people, visiting the cemetery is an essential part of the grieving process. They go to the grave to express their love and remember the person who passed. They bring flowers or simply sit in silence, recalling the good times shared. However, not everyone finds the strength to visit the cemetery. Some feel immense emotional tension or simply aren't ready to do so. It's important to understand that visiting the cemetery is a personal decision, and it is not necessary to maintain a connection with the deceased. The feelings of guilt that can arise in those who do not visit the grave should not dominate their hearts. Many fear that by not going to the cemetery, they will no longer feel the presence of their loved ones. This is a profound misunderstanding. The energy of our loved ones is not confined to the cemetery. Their souls are with us everywhere, at home, at work, or anywhere else we may be. Our thoughts, memories, and feelings form the main bridge that connects us to them. Maintaining a spiritual connection. Each person experiences the process of grief in a unique way. There is no right or wrong way to cope with loss. For some, visiting the cemetery becomes a necessary ritual, a moment of peace and connection with their loved ones. For others, however, this may be an incredibly painful experience. It's important to understand that grieving is not a standardized process. It is personal and deeply individual. Some may feel that visiting the cemetery is crucial, while others may feel it brings them more pain than comfort. That's okay. The key is to listen to your own emotions and needs. If a person is not yet ready to visit the cemetery, that is perfectly normal. The soul of your loved one does not disappear simply because you do not visit their grave. The absence of a physical visit does not mean that your love for them has faded. Visiting the cemetery is just one way to express your affection and respect for the departed. Some prefer to light candles at home, while others might pray or connect mentally with the deceased. All these actions are equally meaningful. What truly matters is the sincerity of your feelings, thoughts, and the love you send. Your loved ones are aware of your thoughts and feelings, regardless of whether you visit the cemetery or not. The soul can sense each word, each thought, no matter where you are. That's why you should never feel pressured into visiting the cemetery if it doesn't feel right for you. It's not the physical place that matters. It's the intention and love behind the connection. It's essential to remember that the cemetery is a place for the living to experience grief and find solace. It is not a mandatory location for the departed. Their soul is not confined to the cemetery. They are always with us, whether we are aware of it or not. Your loved ones are present in your memories, in your thoughts, and in your heart. They don't want you to feel any guilt or pressure to visit their grave. What they desire most is for you to find peace and continue living your life, even after the loss. If visiting the cemetery causes you pain or anxiety, you should never force yourself to go. The grieving process is deeply personal. It cannot be measured or defined by rituals, nor can it be standardized. For some, going to the cemetery helps them express their pain, while for others, silence and personal reflection bring them comfort. This is completely normal. Each person should follow their inner feelings. The decision to visit the cemetery or not rests solely with you and your emotional state. The soul of your loved one is always by your side, whether or not you visit their tomb. The most important thing is your thoughts, your feelings, and the love you send. Your loved ones know that you remember them. They feel your support, even from afar. When someone passes away, their soul embarks on a new journey, transitioning to a higher level of existence. This process is often referred to as the evolution of the soul. The soul is no longer confined to physical limitations, but remains connected to those who are still living. The departed want their loved ones to continue living, growing, learning, and reaching new heights. Their evolution is tied to the growth of those who remain behind. This spiritual connection between the living and the departed continues through energy, thoughts, and emotions. When we think of our loved ones with love, when we remember them fondly, we send them positive energy that helps them on their spiritual journey. Every kind thought, every loving emotion becomes a source of energy that helps them grow and evolve. Our loved ones want us to move beyond the pain of loss. They support us in continuing on our own journey. They feel every step we take and every emotion we experience. It's important to remember that the evolution of the soul is not just their journey, it's also ours. We are connected by an unbreakable thread of energy, and every step we take forward, every accomplishment we achieve, also helps them to advance. The spiritual connection we share with those who have passed away remains intact. It manifests through our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And most importantly, the love we continue to feel for them is what helps them on their eternal journey. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope it has helped you find answers to important questions and provided you with comfort during difficult moments. Lessons to take away. 1. Grief is personal. There is no one right way to grieve. It's okay to mourn in the way that feels most natural to you. Trust your own process. 2. The cemetery is not the only place to connect. Your loved ones are not confined to their grave. They live on in your heart, thoughts, and memories. The connection remains, no matter the physical space. 3. Listen to your inner needs. If visiting the cemetery feels too painful, that's perfectly normal. Honor your feelings and find other ways to maintain that spiritual connection, whether through prayer, memories, or quiet reflection. 4. Love transcends physical boundaries. Your love for your loved ones is not bound by space or time. Your thoughts and emotions reach them wherever they are. 5. The journey of the soul, both the living and the departed, continue their journeys of growth. The energy between you and your loved ones remains, helping each other evolve. 6. The journey of the soul, both the living and the departed, continue their journeys of growth. The energy between you and your loved ones remains, helping each other evolve. Let this understanding bring peace to your heart. The connection between you and your loved ones is eternal, and it is strengthened by your love and remembrance.